Peace and love, family. Peace and love. When the gods fought man. I go by the name Pushy Push. Definitely drop a like and subscribe right here to my channel if you're into content that definitely challenges all forms of history. But let's jump into this one, family. So, I've been researching the wars that the world has went through. One of them, I guess, that kind of struck me was the biblical wars. So the wars that are in the Bible, in particularly the war where the creator or the God in the Bible destroys the world, because of the wrongdoings that are happening. I've wondered, was that God a real being, or was the God truly like the Most High? So this video, it kind of explains that, because I'm going to show the answer I found for myself. You know, I feel like somewhere in history, our scholars had decided to take the acts that man has done, or even other living beings, the acts that those things had done. I believe that they took those stories and blamed it on a invisible God. So to me, it's so easy to say God destroyed the world. When you do that, you can't argue with anyone. You can't argue with the God. You have to accept it in your mind that this was a decision made. But I feel like, to me, that is a mystical tactic to remove some of the history and the wrong in history from man, or even any form of human beings that have maybe did a certain type of wrong in the world. So I'm going to look at this coin right here because it's very interesting, because it kind of speaks into that. Is it a God that is fighting on the world's behalf, that have to make decisions that are best for the world? Or is it some type of being, and are we either in control, like being controlled, by this outside force? So when you look at this coin, it can go two ways. You can look at it as in, there's a man and he has an army behind him. Um, he could be being guided by this entity in the sky. So in the Old Testament, that would be like the Yahweh, and the people following it. Or, you know, it could be a different type of meaning, like as if the symbol in the sky is going against, is going against the kingdom down below. So this symbol can definitely mean um, the man is going against the entity in the sky, or the thing in the sky is either guiding the man. So this is something that we're going to look at right there, because this can be easily interpreted in either way. So I guess I'm going to give my opinion as into what I feel like I'm looking at. To start this off right here, I had to do a little definition onto the coin. So reading the writings onto the coin right there, and they were very, very revealing. The first part on the coin, it says to the left with the red line, VORE. So I don't know if I say that right when I say vor or vore, but that is the name or the word that is on that coin. I want to read what it means when you translate it into Latin, to English. It says, the slang term vore or vor, means a rare sexual fetish where someone experiences sexual arousal from imaging, swallowing, or devouring someone whole, or from being swallowed or devoured whole. For some, it can include chewing people up or being chewed up as well. This meaning of this word, vore, is on this coin right here. This is a word that I did not even know exists, where it's a fetish to be eaten or to eat someone. You know, it reminds me so much kind of like a vampire. You know, like a vampire will eat you. And if the vampire wants to turn you into a vampire, it can very well offer itself up to be eaten, like say cut its wrist and let its blood pour and a person would drink it. So a vampire reminds me of such words where it says from imagining swallowing or devouring someone or being swallowed or being devoured. That right there is on that coin right there. It says below the slang term vor is abbreviated form of the word vorephilia. This word comes from the Latin word vorare, meaning to devour, and the ancient Greek word philia, meaning love, like love to devour. So this man right here has a particular word that's on the coin that means to love to devour or to eat the flesh of someone. And then there's another word right next to it. So when we look at the next word to it, it says divi, D-I-V-E, or D-I-V-I, divi. It says vore is it's like another word for vorophilia, and you can say it's a sexual arousal to consume another person. And then the divi, it says it means to be divined or of a deity or God or godlike. When I put those two together, this is the reason why I said vampire. Like a vampire is considered to be godlike. And if you take the idea of eating someone or something even consuming you, then that seems very like vampire like right there. So it made me wonder about this king walking with this army. Is this king walking with a vampire army? Because it's saying like Vor Divini, and then it says Leopold II. So like that's a king between the 1400s and 1500s, possibly. That is a king. And it has that he might be a vampire. So they're not using the word vampire in the 1600s. It would be described. So the word vor is describing what fetish this man likes to do. And the divi is describing how this man or how others view this man. A man that devours other things or even allows itself, kind of like a vampire would sacrifice a portion of itself to allow another one to live. That's what this man sounds like. He sounds like a vampire. And what makes this interesting is you're looking at the cloud now. So if he is a vampire, is he walking against the cloud in the sky with the triangle, which is the Yahweh? Or is he being guided by the Yahweh? Because obviously Leopold could possibly be a reptile. So is the cloud in the sky guiding the reptile army? We're going to look at that right there. So when you look at these coins right here, they're all set up in a series to kind of look at everything, because Everything is parallel. So it resembles the last coin. And that's what you're looking at right here. So you see the king, he's walking with the army, and then there's a cloud in the sky with a triangle with a bright light. Now, when you go to the gold coin, there is a man in a cloud, and he has a triangle around his head, and he's in the cloud. So this is a parallel from the last coin. It's now revealed that that triangle that's in the cloud is actually a man. And you can see that he has an item in his hand that looks like he is dropping it upon a city. Now, you have the army right there. And if you look below on the gold coin, that is what you see is the army bombing the city. So for me, the Vor, the Vinny, the Leopold, that king right there, walking with the army, is a reptilian type of king being guided possibly by the Yahweh or a god in the sky. And you can see on the coin the war that they are having. So the thing in the sky, this item, is fighting this city, and there are people on the ground also fighting this city. And that's what the gray coin is kind of eluding. This is the army coming to the city. And this is a total revealance. When you look at the gray coin with the ship, the man is not in a cloud. He's in a airship. And in that airship at the top, it says Yahweh's name. This is the reason why I said this is the Yahweh, because his name is up in the top of the ship. So the thing that's guiding the king is a airship that can cloak itself like a cloud that is being guided by other beings. Now, if you initially look at this, you would say, or many would say, that this is God guiding the army. And this is why I said, I've noticed that the things that man has done or other beings has done, they have taken those wrong deeds and say God did it. And like I said, there's no way to ask questions to something that you believe is in the spiritual world. But I believe that this God in this story is a particular being who can probably fall like any other person because it needs an apparatus, a ship to fly in. But if you look below, the thing I realized during this time period of the 1400s, 15 and 16, this entity, its fighting forces was in old tech. They were in boats that looked like Christopher Columbus boats, and they were being guided by something in the air. This is the missing link to the history that we are not receiving in the world. It's the factor that we see it as a God when truly the secret societies has painted this to look like, like it's a divine situation when truly it's truly an invasion from somewhere else. And what makes this so deep is that there is a ground force that is working with conjunction with this entity that they want us to call a God. As I was studying, I realized how deep, you know, this war that we're not told about, like how massive and how destructive it was, this last piece was showing you that you quite possibly have been fighting hybrids, like literally a reptilian. Like I said, the Vor Vinny is not going to be the word vampire. I think at this time they are describing what they are. But it says on this map right here, Mirabilis Annus, and that means miraculous year. And it says the progression of the UFO wave of 1660-61. And if you look at it, this is in England. This place used to be called Britannia, but now it's called England. And it shows roughly about 191 places that were possibly attacked during this time period right here. If we go back up, this is the same time period right here, even with the Leopold. This is the exact same time period. So you have a ground force, and this ground force even has boats. So there's an army that we're not knowing about that uses, I guess, the low tech to finish the fight once this entity from above has possibly bombed our cities. But this is the progression of the UFO, and I want you to really look at this because the next piece is deep. So I had did a piece on Benjamin Franklin, and his remarks left some interesting thoughts in my mind. So I wanted to share this because, I mean, the map, the UFO map, connects to what Benjamin Franklin is saying. So just kind of reading the yellow and just recapping, it said all of Africa is tawny, so meaning dark. Asia is chiefly tawny, also dark. America exclusively to the newcomer, woefully so dark. It says in Europe, the Spaniards, Italian, French, Russian, Swedes are generally what we call swarthy complexions, dark. And it says as are the Germans are dark. It says the Saxons only accepted, as if the Saxons aren't as dark. It says who with the English make the principal body of white people on the face of the earth. When you see this, he wrote this in the 1700s. He wrote that there weren't that many white people, at least on this part of our globe, in our ice circle, there weren't that many white people. Possibly the Saxons being the only type, meaning that, you had lighter versions of us, but this in particular type of Englishman or Anglo seems to be different. But if you look at the map, this is what Ben was talking about. And the blue area is the area that's white, and every place else is a place that's dark. Now, when you look at the UFO invasion of 1660, you're looking at the map. And then you look at that map right there. This is all at the same time. Like Benjamin Franklin is writing this 100 years after this event. It's quite possible you had somebody or a group come in that is not from this area. And I believe probably after this UFO war seeded something here. And the first places that they conquered was what we call Britain today, or was called Britain, but now called England. So a longer time ago it was called Britain, but now it's England. And the other areas look like it might be Germany. So the Anglo-Saxon or the English, in its history says that they are German. But Ben is saying that, this place was pretty much dark during up into the 1700s. So you have a UFO war in the 1600s, and then by the 1700s, the very place that was being attacked, which we call England today, on Ben's map is where only this particular Anglo Englishman exists. So what I'm saying is something from beyond fought this realm right here. And after it defeated this realm, it placed a seed here. It left people here. And in particularly to me, this reptilian type of species of man. So kind of like the Leopold, the Vor Vinny type of person. On the map, it showed Germany. So there's even coins to validate that right there. So this coin right here to the left, it says Hamburg. And if you look up in the sky, it says the name Yahweh in the cloud, bursting brighter light. That is the spaceship symbol right there. That is the UFO or the ship symbol right there. To the right, you can see another one. It says Yahweh on that coin. But down below it says Nuremberg, like Nurembergen. And I guess in the 1600s, it was that was what it was called before Nuremberg right there. So that coin is 1698. Benjamin Franklin is writing his writings right here. He's writing that in 1750. So roughly about 100 years of some type of outside invasion destroyed and conquered enough to where these people were able to take over, say, a small patch of land, and now they own and run pretty much all of the world. And what I'm saying is these groups right here had the help of something that had high tech. And personally, I believe that like the Anglo or the Englishman was brought here. Like it is something that is not from here. Because it's so interesting that, in his writings, he said the Saxons only accepted, so this makes you feel like there is an outsider looking at everything around and saying, hey, these people can, I can deal with these people, but everybody else I can't deal with. And I'm saying the arrival of the Englishman was probably a UFO invasion. But if we go further, here's another piece of 1665, and this is showing Strauss land. And this image is just as strong as the last one because the name Yahweh is up in the sky. Just like in the ship, Yahweh is up in the ship right there. So all those ships in the background is what we're seeing on the coin right there. And the hands that are holding the cup right there, that is the Yahweh and all his forces. They're flooding the world. And there's Noah's ship. So this kind of makes you feel like you've been attacked, possibly from something beyond the ice wall for a very, very long time if it's showing you the image of Noah's boat right there. So I feel like you do have a hybrid force that has left something here that is governing over us. And it operates under the name Anglo, and it operates under the name English. That's really how I see this. That ice wall below right there, I just think that we have to have an open mind that we are warring with something from beyond. And that thing from beyond obviously has taken over because the Englishman is really in power. And why am I saying the Englishman? Well, if we go back up, that was what Benjamin Franklin was saying. He was saying out of his own words, the Saxon accepted, who with the Englishmen make up the principal body of white people on the face of the earth. So the Saxons already here. That means the Englishman or the Anglo is foreign. And the same lands that are being attacked by the UFO in the 1600s is the same lands being owned now because they obviously were dark at one point. Now they're being owned by the English. And I'm coming to the conclusion that the Anglo is a foreign entity and possibly, a reptilian hybrid based off Leopold on the coin. If you look at everything in a procession, because I feel like all the books were destroyed at a certain time. And the only thing that was left was people making coins and probably making these coins, privately. So I think they speak volumes. And I got tons of these coins right here, but I wanted to show you this right here because this looks like what we have went through during this last war that I believe happened between the 1400s and the 1800s. So the first coin to the left, that is the UFO. The coin in the middle, that is the beam in the UFO. And that beam is attacking the land. The third coin, once they won the war, they hid their identity. So we've been all this time looking at a all-seeing eye with a triangle, thinking that it is the God, like of creation, when truly this is a conquering God. And once it got in power and it placed its people in power, it hid itself. And now when you see this eye right here, you see that it has the cloud all around it. So it's now hidden. But that is that man's eye right there. And that man belongs in that ship right there. If we go down to the bottom, to the left, you have a priest in the cloud. And that is that man. And what's that signaling is after they conquered us, along with the English, after they conquered everything, they wanted everybody to praise them. And this is why I said that the Anglo breaks down to the angel. And I know in the last video, some argued and said, well, it's spelled different. And to be honest with you, it's simply the L and the E that is switched around between the two words. So the Anglo is the angel. And what's happening is we're being conquered, and this entity or this leader, it wants those that it conquer to look at it like a god. So then there's the gold coin with the circle, with the triangle, with the eye. That's all above right there. There's the man, he has a triangle around his head. To the right on the coin, there is the eye right there. And it's all somebody riding in a ship. This is why I said everything is like parallel to each other. But this entity, this Yahweh, that I believe could be many people, like a Yahweh could be a position. But this entity wants everybody that it has conquered in our like circle, in our ice world, to praise it. That is what you're seeing on the gray coin. So on the gray coin, you can see the circle up in the sky. It's inside with the triangle, with the eye, and there's an angel. There are no angels with wings. That is someone who has the foul of the air blood in them. That is what an angel is. It's a hybrid person. So I'm saying, like the Englishman, the Anglo man, which is the angel, is a hybrid. And that is what you're looking at right there. So all this has turned from real to now it's spirituality. And this is the way that this entity has hid itself. I'm saying the God of the Bible is quite possibly the conqueror of the 14, 15, and 1600s. And after we got conquered, it placed something to govern or to watch over us. And I believe that those somethings are what you call Anglo, or what you would call angels. But I don't believe that they are divine, though they see themselves as divine, just like the Leopold coin. He considered himself divine, like a vore divini, like someone who has a fetish of eating people or being eaten, and that person is considering themselves divine. That's a vampire right there. But if we take this to one good look right here, one good look, I feel like this word vore has been used more than once in the scriptures. And I say this like this. So it's something with the part with Jesus and John. So at the top it says, so Jesus said to them, truly, truly, I say to you, unless you eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, you have no life in you. Those words right there sounds like that term right there, vor, where it is telling you swallowing or devouring someone whole, or from being swallowed or devoured whole, you know, talking about chewing people up or being chewed up. That is vor. That conversation right there sounds just like what I hear inside of the Bible. When I read, truly, truly, I say to you, unless you eat the flesh of the Son of Man. Well, I don't take that as being Jesus, especially if the man's not even here. When I read that right there, I don't feel like it's talking even to me. when it's telling you or saying, eat the flesh of the Son of Man, I look at it like this. I'm man. I'm man. Meaning man is male and female. So if you're a female, you're man. To eat the Son of Man is to eat the kid. In the beginning, it said God created man, and man is male and female. So if you eat the Son of Man, the Son of Man is not a male. Man is a male and female. Male and female make up man. So if you eat the Son of Man, meaning me and my wife's kid, something needs the life of the kid in order to keep living. That is that vor talk right there. The King Leopold is someone that is in history right there, quite possibly a vampire on the level of Vlad. This is what I mean when I say that the wrongs that man have done, or the wrongs that other beings had done, has been masqueraded inside of the scriptures as an angry God. And like I said, there's no way to argue when someone says, well, God got mad and he destroyed by flooding the world. It's quite possibly the Most High that I believe in, that gives the Spirit, did not flood the world. We're looking at other entities fighting us and themselves for power. That is what I believe that we're looking at right there. And that gets masqueraded inside of religion. We have been put to sleep, in my opinion, around about the 1500s. In order for, let's go back. One more, let's go back. In order for this whole area right here to go dark and be all dark and to now all change to a whole nother piece, there had to be a mass unaliving. And I'm not saying that that was done by, say, Saxons. I'm saying this is done by some outside force that claims to be an angel. This video is definitely challenging, but I think the thing that I've been trying to do is add some reality to it. Like I just think that there's too much mysticism, and every time we go to look in history, we get this wall that makes everything divine, and then you can't touch it, and then it causes the truth to be hard to reveal. So the thing that I'm trying to do is break away from that right there. I'm not trying to get anyone to not believe in the Most High, that which makes the body or the light force in the body. Like I'm looking at you through the black pupil of my eyes. So that means that my light force is inside. I can't see my face, but two ways, and that's in a mirror or if I look at water. So I realize that I'm in something, and that Most High right there did not destroy the world. There is something posing as the Most High and has used real beings to write down stories that are false, going against our Most High, when truthfully the things that we are reading in the Bible are done by beings pretending to be a God. So with that one, family, definitely this next video is going to be definitely just as deep. We want to go in and see the cities and the different places that were destroyed. There's another piece I want to look at with Benjamin Franklin, because he talked about places like Sweden being vacant, like the whole state or the whole country of Sweden. He referred to it as being vacant. Like, how can a whole place be vacant? So there's some things, I want to look at when it comes to this conquering I believe we've went through. So until the next time, family, I definitely appreciate you. Definitely drop a like and subscribe. The videos is definitely going to be challenging, but I do try to have them make some kind of sense, because the conversation is totally new. It's totally taboo. And like I said, this is not to get you to not believe in that which create all. I just believe that we have an imposter physically amongst us. So till the next time, family, definitely thank you, thank you, thank you.